On our journey into the world of Horizon, we once again find ourselves in the heart of the American West, specifically Colorado Springs, Colorado. Though Aloy's journey begins in the distant future, the story of this landmark begins in the 1890s, this being the Colorado Springs Pioneers Museum. Near the turn of the century, the local government of the region had triumphantly completed a rather sizable undertaking for what might be expected for the fairly small community. In 1903, the El Paso County Courthouse was completed, a true demonstration of the newfound wealth and prosperity brought on by the gold rush of the era. Costing $420,000 for construction and furnishing, it was paid in full upon completion. For perspective, the kind of affluence afforded to the project adjusting for inflation, that's equivalent of nearly $12 million US today, completely paid off by the time the building first opened its doors to the public. In 1909, the courthouse began displaying items of historical significance belonging to the El Paso County Pioneers Association, marking the start of its legacy with history of the region. Beginning in 1896, the Pioneers Association began its mission of collecting historical artifacts and has continued to do so into our present day, some 123 years later as of the making of this video. The organization continued to use the courthouse to house and display these pieces of history until the size of the collection simply became too large to where it would be moved elsewhere. The building would stand proud for decades to come, serving its intended purpose, but even the finest pieces of architecture can fall victim to neglect and disrepair. By the 1960s, the building was a shadow of its former self, and after being deemed unusable, found itself on the docket for demolition. Thankfully, after the deed was passed to the city, this did not occur, and in 1973, its restoration began. By 1979, it was reopened, but now as the Colorado Springs Pioneers Museum. As of our present day, the museum holds some 40,000 objects of historical significance to the Pikes Peak region. A collection that not only includes artifacts from Western expansion, but of the region's indigenous peoples, such as the Ute, Pueblo, Arapaho, Plains, and Cheyenne. This as well as 35,000 written documents and photographs dating back to the 1800s, making the museum the most comprehensive collection of regional history in Colorado Springs, a mission and legacy that evidently endured until the fall of civilization. Known within Horizon's future as the Explorers Museum, the landmark kept up with modern advancements in technology, including hologram exhibits to complement the items and dioramas on display, many of which we know were vandalized by Bashar Mati in his teenage years as he struggled with substance abuse. In the 31st century, we find the ruins of the museum in the hands of bandits, those who took advantage of the weakened defenses of the Nora after the war party's first defeat at the hands of the Eclipse. After taking and fortifying the ruin, they began to kill and imprison many of the tribal population. Not until the unlikely alliance between Aloy and the Carja warrior Nil was the site purged of the brigands, but the first of many to be later cleared out by the pair. Though rid of outlaws, Nora beliefs dubbed these places of the old ones to be cursed and tainted. Therefore, those still belonging to the tribe steer clear of these places with or without human threats, thus explaining the tribe's reluctance to take action in removing them. Those we see inhabiting these camps once cleared are mostly outcasts, no longer welcome among the Nora, seeking safety in numbers. Despite the fact that it's also forbidden for outcasts to communicate with other outcasts, due to the nature of their circumstance, this is a decree that is ignored by many. No matter its condition, nor its name, the museum remains a touchstone to our past. Who knows how many of these places that once put such importance on our history still exist in the world Gaia created, and how many could still give clues to those who inherited this world from what came before. Hopefully, we might stumble across similar hubs of knowledge and learning on our continued journeys with Aloy. But for now, the Explorers Museum holds a special place in the world as a place once dedicated to a history and people who have been all but lost to the ages. And that brings our journey to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated, and if you really like what we're doing at the channel, come join our community and hit that subscribe button. Also consider supporting the channel on Patreon to help us create new series and tackle new projects just like this. Check out the link in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and keep questing.